don't know if like the people know, like literally this is my first podcast.
I'm so pleased that I get to take your podcast virginity.
Younger Chief reached out in my DMs and he was just like, yo, I really love like your work. And I actually felt like the star always wanted to feel like that side. That's when I met a guy who goes by the name Shelton Forbes.
What's one thing that's made you happy to be alive recently?
Oh.
Hey!
So I've made us a drink.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long story short house drink inspired by you. So I'm going to break it down if that's okay.
Yeah.
I've pretty much gone with my interpretation of your sound. So it's like your vibe in a drink.
Okay, cool,
Okay.
Cool. Interesting.
So we've got a blood orange soda, okay, over ice, because that's the kind of thing that I feel like you reach for on a really warm day. And something that stands out to me about your sound is how refreshing it is.
Okay.
Then we've also got some mint leaves.
Okay.
Adds to
Some
the
mint
flavor
leaves, huh?
profile,
Mm-hmm.
because I love the fact that you've been experimenting with different genres since your debut
Okay.
album.
Mm-hmm.
And you called it has to be potent. I've also got a shot of vodka. So we've got the shot of vodka because your lyrics can really pack a punch sometimes. Like, I think that instead of draking about someone, you can Ricky Tyler about someone.
I like that.
You like it?
Yeah,
Okay, let's
sure.
do it. Cocktail it is.
Cool. You wanna say it like a toast or like a cheers?
We're definitely going to cheers. So we're going to cheers to telling the story.
Yeah, and your first podcast and my first ever being on a podcast
There
as
you
well.
go. The
Cheers
first
to us, yeah.
episode. Cheers to us.
Oh. That was really great.
So you think that I could give up my day job and dabble in mixology?
I think you could do both.
Really? Okay, got you.
Yeah,
I thought maybe you were going to
good.
say, hold on to my day job. You know
No,
what I mean?
no, like that was a really good drink. Loved it.
I don't know if you noticed.
Mm.
It's about 30 Ks from your place to the studio today.
Didn't you do like a reaction video too?
I was just about to say, I think it's
You did
crazy.
do a reaction video, right?
There's so much
wait,
symbolism. No, there's so much symbolism, right?
Yeah.
You're my first guest. It's your first podcast.
Mm.
The distance was 30 Ks from your place
Uh,
to the studio.
Yeah.
And then my reaction video was
Yeah,
the
yeah.
30 Ks music video.
Yeah. This was definitely meant to happen, you know. And like you and I haven't seen each other for
3-4 years.
3-4 years, huh?
You know, with the 30 Ks music video, I think it's crazy that you remember that, the blind reaction.
I remember really loving the reaction. I remember like appreciating that moment so much because I was like, oh shit, like people are beginning to like react to my music. 'Cause at the time I was like, okay, cool, I think like what I put out was dope.
Yeah.
And then when like you were one of the first to like really highlight that moment for me. So I really appreciated that, you know what I mean? I took my music even more seriously because of that. So you
No
wanted that.
ways. No, it's
Yeah.
all love, Ricky.
No, it was really cool. you
It's
know?
seriously all love. And I mean, like when I did that reaction video, like the YouTube algorithm just did its thing. Like I wasn't even looking, right? It was
Yeah.
just something that came up. And I remember at the time looking back and thinking like, this is the most refreshing sound I'd ever heard in South Africa at the time, right? It was like your visuals were crazy. Was that your first music video that you ever dropped?
Nah, I would say like it was my first biggest production music video that we ever dropped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That needed like a big production.
Yeah.
So I'd say that.
I mean, I saw that music video
Mm.
and I was instantly a fan. And
Thank
I've
you.
been a fan of yours ever since. So I'm just so stoked to have you on the couch. Thank you for being
I'm
here.
super stoked. I'm super stoked. I don't know if like the people know, like literally this is my first podcast.
I'm so pleased that I get to take your podcast virginity.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I have this philosophy, right? That in order to be someone who is a creative, that you pretty much have to commit to being a child at heart. Like, I just feel like kids are so, like they're born artists, right? Like they're just so creative naturally. Was there something significant in your childhood that you look back on now where you're like, of course it makes sense that I ended up in music?
Yeah. I mean, like I grew up watching Michael Jackson. I grew up really enjoying just watching theater productions, you know what I mean? Like musicals and stuff. Grew up on the sports field, playing a lot of soccer. I was a dancer, you know, in primary, you know, I used to love dancing as well. But like I was a very active kid, very performative as well, you know what I mean? So I always like to, you know, I treated everything like as a stage. So just everything I was exposed to, like, or whatever like made me happy growing up. So I think naturally also I was just always creative, you know what I mean? I was just always that kid who like wanted to do something to stand out.
Was there a point where you like ever picked up a mic as a kid? Like how how did the translation of like being exposed to all this dope stuff, which was through your mom, right? Like your mom was a huge influence in like your music taste, taking you to theater and stuff like that. Was there a moment where you picked up a mic and you're like, oh, this is how I'm going to channel my energy?
I just enjoyed watching artists do their thing. Like I just enjoyed watching shows, and I was more on the sports side of things. Dancing, like I said, like I tried a lot of different things as a kid. I'd say music kind of fell onto my lap. But growing up, I really wanted to at some point pursue acting.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a story I tell enough, but like I really wanted to be an actor. You know what I mean? I remember like the first time when I realized this is when I watched this musical called Rent. I feel like Tupac right now, like going from like theater to like it's rap music and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I watched this musical called Rent. Like I just switched on the TV one day and like it was like 525,600 minutes, and I really fell in love with like theater. And before that, I was just, I had dreams of being this soccer player and like maybe being the next Terry Henry one day.
Wow.
But that was just me being a kid, you know what I mean? Like everyone, I feel like most of us as dudes wanted to be, professional soccer players. But just seeing Rent and like falling in love with the magic of that and being like, okay, cool, like, like that's something I feel like I could do because like I get to kind of escape like my reality. So yeah, I think that was like the first moment like that switched on for me. And then I remember speaking to my mom like, I want to go check out one of these things, like I want to go check out like a musical. And it's weird, like I'm supposed to be this like hard hitting guy, but like I wanted to go check out some musicals, and I really fell in love with that magic. And then she started taking me to Joburg Theatre, to go check out some productions. And we went to go watch like Footloose and Beauty and the Beast. And you know what I mean? All of that kind of stuff. I'm finally like confident enough to like talk about these things. Like I was into musicals, you know what I mean?
Have you ever watched High School Musical?
I used to love High School.
You were like Troy Bolton, basically. You were sneaking out to go like audition, but like you're a jock on the sports field.
Yeah, hopefully finding my Vanessa Hutchins. I just asked my mom like if she could help me join like or get into some acting classes. And cool. So like we looked for like some agencies, and then we found one which was specifically like an acting school. It was called Star Quality. Like going there opened up my world up to like just being a performing artist. I'd say even before that, I wanted to also be a dancer, because like the soccer thing didn't seem like it was working out. And this was like around, I'd say just like in primary school, just going into high school, when I fell in love with dancing. And I remember the first time I fell in love with dancing is when we watched that movie, You Got Served.
Can you crump?
Yeah, I can.
I believe you can crump. Yeah, you look like you could crump.
Like I'm tall.
Yeah.
But like I know how to like move this like.
I believe in you.
With this bone structure, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, no, like I used to know how to do all of that. Like I said, like I was a very active kid. I was just good at a lot of things, I didn't do well academically. So I always just latched onto everything that I was good at, like physically. I was just like, held on to that because like that was the one moment where people looked at me like, okay, cool, you're actually good at something in life, I think like dancing and learning how to dance and getting good at that really opened my mind up to like, just like I said, entertainment as a whole. But I wasn't thinking about, being an artist, but I moved to music really well, And obviously, long story short.
I love that. I love what you did there.
That, obviously when I joined the agency or the acting school, Star Quality, when I asked my mom to kind of tell me, get into something like that. That really opened my whole world up. So I remember the first character I ever played was a character called Manuel.
Okay.
In the sitcom called Faulty Towers. And the second production we did was Mamma Mia.
Oh, beautiful.
So now Mamma Mia we were required to sing. So I think that was the first time I've started to get into singing.
So you opened your mouth pretty much and everyone was like, did anyone know that he has pipes?
I didn't even know, like, I didn't even know what I had. Like, I was just trying to play characters and like sing. And like, it wasn't that like glorified like in acting school. It was just like, okay, cool, you're singing that pretty decently, so you can play that character, cool.
Yeah.
Whatever. But like, I wasn't trying to be honest, like I really wasn't trying to do music at the time, Yeah. I'm trying to like do some Disney shit one day.
Right. So who was like, dude, you can sing? Kind of got to explore this.
So when I was doing obviously these acting classes and doing these cool little productions, I remember sitting at the agency and there was this woman who came downstairs. She went by the name Elsavi DeLange, and she owned an actual agency where you doing actual work upstairs, and she saw me and she was just like, no, you're a good looking kid and da da da. I was like, I always see like people going upstairs, like, what do you guys do up there? And she's like, oh no, she told me she runs an agency, you know, for just like commercial print models and models, you know, like but like, you know, that was modeling was like the standout thing, well, the thing that she focused on the most, you know. And she was like, look, like I know you're doing the acting thing, but like if you want to do some real work at some point, like come upstairs and come check it out. Like I'd love to see like if this is what, you know, if we could get you into this kind of thing. And I was like, no, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Then let's set up a meeting, you know?
Yeah.
Joined her agency, which was Just You Modern Artists Management. Elsaby was was running this competition where she had this person named Kim Myers from the United States who would fly over like once a year to come and scout for new talent. And she was like, look, I want you to audition. You know, you might be able to, you know, you might just get the opportunity to go overseas and compete. But she's like, I want you to audition for like each and every category, which is, you know, acting, singing, dancing, modeling, so everything.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, cool. I mean, I can do that. And I chose Chris Brown's like With You. You know, I was also a huge Chris Brown fan. I remember practicing how to sing the song, some of our classes. And that's when I met a guy who goes by the name Shelton Forbes. He was a presenter on Vuzu. And like we met at that time. And he was like one of the people who was like, you know, you got a pretty decent voice, man. Like, but like that's just all it was, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, no, you got a cool voice, you know, you have a nice tone. I thought I was a terrible singer. You know what I mean? I didn't believe in my singing at all. It took a lot of convincing, you know, for people to tell me like you can actually like sing. I did the audition and then I got the call back, and then a year later flew me out to the States. So that was also a very big moment for me. Because when I was a kid, like I would watch all these, you know, some of my favorite movies, and like I was in love with like a lot of American production. But I always said to myself, like, you know, like I want to be there, like I want to experience that place one day. Like I don't know how I'm gonna get there, but I will. And like funny enough, I manifested that into my life. That really changed like my whole view on life, you know what I mean? Like it was cool. Like it just that feeling of like being in a whole like different country, thousands and thousands of kilometers away from like, you know, like you're across the ocean. That was like an amazing feeling for me. And like, yeah, like it definitely set fire to like me really taking, I guess, just being a performer.
So I know like we haven't seen each other in ages, right? And for the past, 3 to 4 years, you've spoken a lot about how it's been really challenging, obviously, with the loss of your mom and your pops and just like a host of other challenges, right? Which is like a huge transition from when Small World dropped, because it's like everyone is talking about the album. You've got a bunch of support, and then it feels like everything shifts. When you think about that time of Small World dropping to where you are right now, and you kind of had one word to summarize like this passage of time, what would it be?
Transformative.
Wow. I
experienced quite a drastic change in my life, which I didn't really foresee coming so early, you know, in my life. But it happened. Everything happened so instantly after Small World. If anything that I take from that is just I'm happy that my mom got to experience that moment in my life. When did Small World come out? Small World came out like it came out during COVID, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy time. Also a crazy time to drop an album, you know? Obviously, I was very skeptical at how it would be received, but I just wanted to put some kind of body of work out at the time. And like, I just saw it as like a body of work because people were just requesting like, you know, a body of work from Ricky Tyler. And I was just putting out a whole bunch of cool singles. And like, even just the way Small World came about, like I was just making music along the years. And eventually I had made enough music to put out a project. You know? What gave the project more significance is like just me sitting with Playground Productions, you know, the team I was working with at the time, and I was just saying, why don't we just call this an album?
Wow.
Because it's been so long, like you haven't put out a project before, and like I think if you put out an EP, people are gonna be like, okay, cool, like we want, you know, like okay, cool, we done
like what's next,
like,
right?
Next?
Yeah.
So just give people something to digest for, you know, a much longer time.
Yeah.
So we had made like enough music and really good music, you know, to put together a project. So there wasn't too much thought put on like this conceptualized album. It was just like we just went through all these songs I made and then we pieced together the story.
You know what's so crazy? Like, I'm so glad you shared that, because when I listen to Small World from beginning to end, it's like seamless. Like you'd think that there was, not to say that there was no intention, but you would think that when you listen to the album that you sat down and you were like, I'm going to make something that sounds like this. And the fact that you kind of recorded it in pieces, how many years do you think it took you to record everything?
It took me like 3 years,
Yeah.
to record all those songs. And I remember like the first like really dope song we made was with Glow. We made this song called Everything. That's the plan. And that song we saved for like 3 years. I mean, like I remember when we made that record, like I wanted to put it out like at the time, and Glow's like, man, hold on to this one.
Wow.
I was like, nah, bro. It's just this thing. Like I'm trying to like be something now. You know what I mean? Like this song might just change my life. And it's crazy how like that song, it still did. You know what I mean? It ended up being the song on Rhythms of Zamunda for the Coming to America, the second film and stuff. And like it was cool. Like we just knew in that moment that like we had made something very special.
Wow.
But yeah, like it took me like a good 3 years to like create Small World. But like I said, even throughout that time, I wasn't thinking about creating an album. I was just thinking about making a lot of songs. And then obviously when COVID hit, it was like, okay, cool. Like, okay, we need something for people to hold on to. And like, I mean, we can't necessarily go outside and like promote or do anything. So let's just give people a project.
And I remember the listening party was online.
Yeah, it was online.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our host was Lady G at the time. Yeah, like that was, I mean, like, it was COVID and like we had to like start promoting online. And I guess that was like the birth of streaming as well. So it worked for me because I also felt like the music I was making was more introspective, you know what I mean? It was definitely, like you said, potent as this lovely drink right here.
Yeah, the vodka is very important.
But like a lot of storytelling, so it seemed like to me like the right album to put out. If we're gonna put out an album, like rather it be this one because it is more storytelling and like, just sonic wise, like it's something you can just digest, like, chilling, like you don't necessarily have to be outside like listening to this music. And it also allowed people to like pay more attention to me. And yeah, the reception was really beautiful, like the stories. I'm just happy at the fact that like all this, every song, every story I told on the album was all, from a real place. And like, it's everything that I'd literally been through. So that was cool. So I didn't really care. Like, I didn't necessarily care, about like what the reception would be. I was just happy to put out a project. I was just happy to just be an artist and like I finally put out a project. That was a huge milestone for me.
I'd be interested to know in like over that space of time where you made Playground Productions and you started working on creating the album, but not really creating the album because you didn't know it was going to be an album yet. Like how much of the music you were making made it to the album? Because I think what stands out with Small World for me is your sound feels like signature already from your first album, which is incredibly uncommon.
So I definitely had to like grow as an artist, and I realized how much growth how much I'd grown as an artist because like to like some of the stuff I was making before Small World, like tricky, like being an artist, like whenever you're making something at a certain time period in your life, it's good then, and then as the years go by and you start to listen back to the song that you made 3 years ago and you're like, no, that's kind of shit. You know what I mean? Because like now you're making better music, but it's also because like, now you're working with like better producers and not to say like the producers I was working with weren't as good, but like it's just that you're working with like, now I'm working with producers who like really understand like what I'm trying to do.
Right.
So I started to grow from there. Whereas before, with the people I was working with before, what we were making, it was almost like a group of us as well. So we're just jumping on whatever beat like was on the computer. Like, okay, guys, I'm jumping on this one. I'm jumping on this one. And not really like tapping into like what I was actually trying to do. So when I met Playground, like, they really understood like what it is I was trying to tap into. So like the more I started to work with them and like the better the production got and like the more I started to challenge like my storytelling, is the more I realized like, okay, cool. Like I don't necessarily want to drop like what I made 3 years ago, but also like these songs that we made that till this day I feel like could stand the test of time, but was it, if we calling this an album, does that song work for that? Not necessarily. And also like I was growing with Playground as well at the same time, like their production was also improving the more I improved, and also just us exploring different sounds, you know what I mean? So it was cool, like we're growing with each other. And like obviously the more their sound grew, like we'd all sit and be like, we can't drop that shit from 3 years from 3 years ago, like because we got better production now,
Yeah.
So we all challenged each other like in a really cool way, like that. So yeah.
That's awesome. I think like what you're saying resonates because COVID was so weird. I was on radio during COVID. I was on campus radio.
Mm.
And I had never been in studio. Like I was on radio for a year and I had never been in studio because of the social distancing thing. So we would do this thing where we would like pre-record the show the night before, but it would be like as if it's like the breakfast show, right? Meanwhile, it's like 10 p.m. Okay. And then we'd upload it so that it comes across as live. And there was this point for me where it was like, I would be in my car bumping some Drake or something. And then I click next and it's like, welcome to the whatever show. And I would cringe so bad because I went through a period where I didn't want to listen to myself back. I'd almost do my show and then I'd black out and like never want to hear it again, you know? Yeah. And no matter how many people were saying to me like, this is great, I couldn't believe it because I just didn't like the work that I was doing. And I feel like it's the same with artists, right? It's like you go through this period where what's in your head doesn't necessarily match out with what you produce. Did you feel like that was ever an issue with you, like dealing with perfectionism with your work? Do you still deal with it now?
I feel like I'm dealing with it now. You know what I mean? Like after I put out Small World, and the kind of like reception that got. But also at the time when I was creating, at the time I was more free. You know what I mean? I guess like with your situation, it's like you want to make an impression, you know, like first time.
From the gate, yeah.
Whereas I just wanted to put out music. So I think I was more free and like just being with that, just having that energy. And I miss that energy so much, you know, and it's something like I'm fighting for now.
What's stopping you from like having that energy, do you think?
I think I'm a lot more, I'm too aware of I'm too like self-conscious about like what people think now because people have set this expectation on me and I'm always worried that I might not hit that I might not reach that expectation. And if I don't, like, how's that going to make me feel about like what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And it's kind of, it's, you know, it's also not the right way to be thinking because like, I'm not in control of that. Like, I'm not in control of like the results and stuff, you know what I mean? I should just be like attaching myself to the routine. So I'm finally like getting back to a place where like I'm no longer attaching myself to the results, but attaching myself to the routine. Also, like, I don't know, like I dropped 2 albums and I'm just like, what do I want to do next? So every time like I go into the studio and I make a song, I'm always like, or, you know, I feel like I don't really sound the same as I used to sound back then. And like you go through all these kind of, you know, this whole thought process and then you really have to get back to just having fun with things again. So I'm just trying to remove the expectation. And it's kind of how I'm living out my life now as well. You know? Just removing all these expectations. It's allowing me to be free again. Back then I was free, you know what I mean? Like I didn't have an expectation. I didn't even care how people would receive it. You know what I mean? I was just happy that like in the studio, like this felt really cool.
Yeah.
And the people I was working with thought this was cool. I'm like, fuck it, let's just put this shit out. And like that got received really well. But like, because I didn't care, you know, I didn't hold an expectation. So it's like, it's a thing that always happens to artists as well, you know. It's like you drop something really great. You know it was going to do so well. But you were confident because like you didn't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like no one knows you yet. You know, so you can just experiment now. Like, so whatever works. You know what I mean? So
right.
Because like, you know, however people receive it doesn't matter. Okay, cool, I could just try something else. You know what I mean? Like maybe I didn't want to be a rapper. You know, maybe I wanted to do this. Like, but like you have the opportunity to come out however you want. It's the freedom you kind of have. Whereas now you come out and then, oh, shit like works out. You are receiving this. But what do I do next? You know what I mean? Like what's going to stay interesting? Like now the expectation's been set. And the expectation removes a lot of like, you know, just the freedom of like just, you know, creating however you want to, experimenting however you want. So yeah, no, I think we just place like crazy expectations on ourselves, you know.
So Happy to Be Alive, sophomore album. It's been a year and a half since it dropped. How do you feel now about the project, knowing that time has passed?
I love both the projects. I really love Happy to Be Alive, but I'm also like over it. And I just because I'm trying to work on the next thing. But you know, it's and if I'm being honest with you, like it's been a while since I've like listened back to like my, you know, the previous projects. Only because I'm just trying to make the next thing. But when I do listen to them, like I'm like, this was amazing. Like, you know, like you really made two beautiful pieces of work here.
Totally. And you can hear the expansion on Happy to Be Alive. Like Small World was an incredible debut album. But I think what was beautiful about Happy to Be Alive is like there was more of like a free energy. Like I feel like you allowed yourself to play around, right? You've got the Afro pop, you've got the piano with Bien, you've got, I mean, my favorite is No More Discos. It's like
For sure.
asking your parents to
Definitely
choose a favorite kid, right? But No More Discos, like especially in that track, it's just like this rawness to you.
Yeah.
And you even mentioned in the song, you're like, you just give less of a
Yeah, for sure.
So did you feel like when you were making your sophomore album that you were still in like that free spirited place where you could play around? Or did you feel like creating something that was more sonically diverse than Small World was like the intention behind it?
I would say HTBA was a little bit more calculated. I know it might not like feel that way, but it was a little bit more calculated because, well, what I kind of went on was like, let me just apply the same formula. You know what I mean? Because like, obviously like my sound is, I mean, to you, it sounds refreshing and different, you know, but to me, it's like, I think I'm just making like different types of music that I enjoy listening to. You know what I mean? I don't have like one set sound or like one genre that I kind of stick to. I'm just always like making like, you know, my formula is, I'm gonna make a rap joint on that. Well, I'm gonna make an R&B joint. I'm gonna make I'm gonna make an Afro joint. I'm gonna make a house joint. I'm gonna make an 80s joint, you know, and then just repeat that. So more calculated because I just went with I applied the same formula. So 3 years because I knew exactly what I wanted to do for the next project. Whereas with Small World, I didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do. I was just making music. But then the second one was like, okay, cool. Like now we know it works. So now I'm going in a bit more calculated now. Like now I know that this formula works.
Did you ever have the sophomore slump?
Nah, I don't know. Like it's like I don't know if people like don't really want to tell me the truth sometimes, and I find, you know, like it throws me off sometimes. It's like, just tell me how you guys really feel about like the second album. But like people seem to enjoy the second album, and like I will forever feel like, you know, Small World was some of my best work, you know. But I have to detach from that. Like I feel like I'm gonna create something even better than that. You know, the sonics were very futuristic, you know. The Small, and I say this because when I went on YouTube, you know, there were Ricky Tyler type beats. So that was a cool thing.
I think that's what I'm going to call the episode, Ricky Tyler type beats.
So that was interesting to see. But yeah, no, like I didn't receive like a bad reception for the second album. I think people were just happy that I dropped the second one and it was good. I wouldn't call it great, but that's just how I feel, you know. But I think what people just resonated with was the stories, man. You know what I mean?
And
like,
I think that's the thing. Like when I say that your sound is refreshing, I don't mean like it's the most different out there. I think regardless of the different genres you play around with, you're not trying to emulate someone. There's something that shines through in you when you make music where it's like, this is coming from a very specific place that makes it Ricky Tyler-esque. And I think that's what like I appreciate about you is your ability to just like prioritize like honesty as an anchor in your music. Like that's what stands out to me. And I think it's dope because much like when you were a kid and you thought you were this hard guy, it's like refreshing for you to just be like, no, but like this is just me. Like I'm not trying to emulate anyone else. I'm not trying to mimic the people that I'm listening to. It's like, this is my take on it.
No, very true. I think also just growing up, say like I used to have like a little bit of a bad temper, but I think I was just emotional. I didn't know how to express like my emotions, you know what I mean? Because like obviously like I had like my family issues and stuff, all these things. So like music really allowed me to like tap into like the emotional side of myself. And that was really refreshing for me, you know, because I would just have moments of outbursts when I was a kid. And I didn't know how to channel that. I went through so many things, you know, so this was definitely like some form of
like
therapy for me. Yeah, you know, music really saved me in terms of like how I deal with things mentally. You know, like I said, like I've been through so many things in my life that like I don't even know how to date things. So I always have trouble like dating like when this happened. I'll just tell everything at once. Even my manager will even be like, dude, you need to like pick like when you want to say things. You can't say everything at once. So I'm adjusting to that.
In terms of your most recent releases, I saw that you were on the Younger Chief album on the track Faithful.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. How did that come about? What was it like collaborating on the song?
I hadn't met Younger Chief at the time and I made this song about like 2-3 years ago. Younger Chief reached out in my DMs and he was just like, yo, you know, like huge fan. Like I really love like your work and stuff. And Young is like the type of person who wants to work with someone who's not doing like the same thing that he's doing. And it's also so crazy because like even with singing, I never necessarily even wanted like I said, I didn't necessarily want to sing. Like I started out rapping. So it still blows me away till this day that like shit, like people really like always want me to sing. So when he reached out to me, I thought like he's gonna ask me, to maybe like, jump on give him like a rap verse. He's like, nah, like I need a hook. And he sent me the song, and obviously like it was a sample from like a 90s joint. Obviously I'm in love with like obviously like that era. Yeah, and like I remember just saying, no, I love this song. Let me see what I can do on it. So it took me about a week to give him like the hook and the verse. I remember sitting with the song, I really liked it, and then just sitting in studio, like coming up with the hook. The subject matter was just obviously if like somebody would ride for you, like if if this is someone who's gonna stick with you, like when you're rich, when you're poor, when you like through your good times, your bad times, all that stuff. Yeah, I ended up like kind of writing to it in that way, where it's like faithful even when it's painful. Tell me, do you love me? Better say so. Just give me some reassurance on like that, like I'm not gonna lose you one day, like I'm not gonna lose you anytime soon. So I really like resonated with that because obviously like my relationship life has been a roller coaster. It was definitely the perfect song for me to jump on. Like he knew exactly, like it's cool that he knew that like I would be able to like channel what he was looking for. Yeah, I could tell that he actually he did really listen to my music. So I really respected that and like jumped on the song, and then 3 years later the song drops. But I was like, but I thought you were gonna like release this like, like you guys, hit me up saying the label's calling, like we need this like by end of the month. And then it's like 2-3 years later, it's like, damn, like I even forgot about the song, and I was like, oh no, so like we finally like, we're gonna drop this song. Well, it's gonna be on my project. And I was like, oh damn, it's been like 3 years.
So what, you forgot about it, or you just accepted it had gone like, into the abyss?
Yeah, I mean, like I definitely had forgotten about it. Cause yeah, I mean, like it's been 2-3 years, like I'm working on other things. So obviously like, when he hit me up about it again, I was like, okay, no, that's cool. Like I was just more excited to be dropping a joint with Younger Chief,
I know, he's probably one of my favorites.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. And I mean, I'm a hip hop head. So I mean, I'm always gonna be biased towards hip hop, and I'm always gonna be biased towards you doing hip hop. Like when I think of Ricky Tyler, I think of a singer, right? But your hip hop just goes so hard.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, it does something. I want to chat about No More Discos because it's my favorite song, duh. There's a line that you use where you mention touching down in Nairobi and how you got so much love, and then it's like not the same in your own city. It's more like tough love. Tell me about like that time when you were writing that lyric. Like what made it feel like tough love?
It felt like I was having a tough time breaking through the essay industry. And as much as people were enjoying like the music I was putting out, I don't feel like I was getting enough support. There wasn't necessarily like enough of a fight for like to see Ricky Tyler on certain platforms on like a certain stage, you know what I mean? So I wasn't getting those platforms. You know what I mean? It was just like my fight to be like, I'm trying to do these shows. Like, why am I not getting put onto this and put onto this? Like, I feel like I'm making like some really great music. And I'm building like a really cool core fan base. It seems like people want to see me, so why am I not getting these opportunities? Are people just like maybe not requesting me enough, or like is the hype not like strong enough to be putting me on to like why is this person getting this opportunity? I'm not. That I see. I got into this like little way of thinking which I don't like. You know what I mean? I had an expectation and I didn't reach that. And I put my heart and soul into putting these projects out, but I'm not getting the gigs I need, and like now my life's becoming hard to sustain. At some point, I was relying on 1,000% on like music to also get me to a certain point where I could sustain my life. I had made like so many sacrifices. So I got to a place where I became irritable, and I became even in some way like a little bit envious because I was just like, I don't understand why I'm not getting these opportunities or why these promoters aren't calling me up. Like, what do I have to do? What rooms do I have to walk into? Do my fans really like? Am I getting the support that? Am I really getting like the support that I feel like I deserve? You put so much, effort into something, and like it just, you don't get what you thought was gonna come out of it, and it becomes frustrating. So I was just at a point in my life where I was frustrated because I had sacrificed so much.
Yeah.
And like I said, like obviously the essay industry is like it's just the infrastructure is different, and like you have to, especially when you're doing something that I wouldn't say I'm doing something niche,
Niche.
like, but it's like nichiest.
Yeah.
Niche.
Niche-esque. Yeah.
So it's a little bit harder to break through or get like all these gigs and stuff like that, because at some point you need to sustain, because you're putting so much of your own money into, promoting yourself and getting onto, I guess getting onto platforms and trying to, obviously put merch out and like, you got to promote. So like you got to make sure like you can get to certain places and you can do all these things. And at the end of the day, like if you're not getting a return from anything, like from investing in yourself, at some point like you're gonna be strapped,
Right.
financially, and like I'd sacrificed so much. So I just thought, the frustration started to grow into like, okay, maybe like maybe my location might be the problem, maybe I'm not being received that well here, or maybe like the majority wants this and aren't really ready for like a Ricky Tyler. So that's cool, I guess let me see like if like we could try it somewhere else, So I spoke to Jerry, who's obviously Jerry is my manager, to just start looking for stuff for me like outside of the country. I remember getting booked in Zambia and we're collaborating with Castle Light. It was like a activation for Castle Light, and then I was like the headlining performer in Zambia. It was the first time I flew to like a country in Africa. I remember doing the show and like walking on stage and like, what? The love was crazy that
Wow.
side.
Shout out Zambia.
Yeah, I was really well received that side, and like I actually felt like the star always wanted to feel like that side, and just people literally singing every song like word for word. They were like more obsessed with my music than I was, and that was such a cool thing to witness. So yeah, like that's basically where the line came from. Like it was just me realizing, oh, like like cool. It doesn't mean that because you're not necessarily popping in your own country the way you would want to, like you're not popping somewhere else. Maybe I'm just getting tougher love out here. Maybe I just need to like work a little harder here to get love here, you know what I mean? Whereas out there, like I'm getting the love that I felt like I deserved, Whereas out here, it's a little bit of a tougher industry, So now I'm aware like it's a bigger fight out here, And obviously, like shout out to like all the artists that are like making an impact doing like what I'm doing as well, like trying to channel the R&B, trying to channel like, like just like a different kind of vibe of music and trying to grow like a solid fan base. Yeah. And like also like doing the shows and creating like the platforms for all these kids to like get up on and be able to like have, to confidently move in what they're doing and know that like they'll get the opportunity to go and like perform that and feel that hype and like, and like and just feel more inspired to keep creating, you know what I mean? So yeah, and like it seems like the industry is growing in that sense.
I've had so much fun. I feel like I can talk to you for hours. As we close off though, what's one thing that's made you happy to be alive recently?
Oh, has it already been an hour?
It's already been an hour, yeah.
I was just getting into it.
I know, right?
I think, growing up in a household where I had troubles with connecting with my brother. I had a sister who went through like spiritual battle, I grew up without a father, which was, I think like you grow up in life and you realize, cool, like I forgive the man. Like, obviously like he got up to whatever he got up to, but like, he had his own fight. I grew up with a mother who really worked hard and really like was very supportive. So it's just me realizing how like imperfect I am and how imperfect we all are. But like just all these little moments in my life that I appreciate that really restored my energy and gave me balance. And I think also, over the years, just bearing my mom and my father, which was really tough, it allowed me to realize that like I'm happy with the fact that I can just, that I'm alive, first of all. And I have to be okay with like just moving at my own speed and detaching from like results, you know what I mean? And all these expectations, being more happy with myself and more happy with my story, telling that story more confidently, being a better, like understanding my flaws and being okay with that and working on myself and knowing that I am a work in progress. And knowing that like, hopefully like one day I can do, I can continue to do like really cool things. And like one day I can change the world in some shape or form. But like I'm here now. And I'm really grateful for that, I'm grateful for that. Like even with everything I went through, everything I've seen in my life, and all the, just being like a kid who just didn't know how to focus, but like seeing that finally become something that made sense. I'm just like grateful for life, you know what I mean? I'm just grateful to be able to interact with people on a deeper level and be inspired by people. And yeah, I'm just like, I'm happy to be to be able to make a contribution in life, not just mine, but like other people's lives as well. You know?
Yeah, incredible. Oh, Ricky Tyler, like having you on the first episode is such an honor. So I appreciate you coming through, making the time, and keep climbing. Like you are seriously one of a kind, and I can't wait to see what you get up to next.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
It's my
This
pleasure.
is my first podcast. Like, how do you think I did? Like,
Oh, you're a natural.
yeah?
Oh, you're a natural.
I wasn't like rambling too much.
No, you're good. You
I'll
killed
work
it.
on that.
This
Well, no,
was
thank you so
Ricky
much.
Tyler with Kirsty Leaf on Long Story Short. Peace. What's up? I'm Kirsty Leaf. I'm the host of Long Story Short. Thanks for hanging out with me and your favorite artist today. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you hit subscribe. And if you want exclusive access to what's coming next, from behind the scenes moments to episode alerts, our house drink recipes, and a few surprises, then make sure you click the link below to join the community. I'll see you next time.